Hello viewers and welcome into episode 16 of our F1 Manager 22 save on the PS5 with the Mercedes team. I hope you are doing really well. Last time out around Zandvoort, it was a really interesting race with some huge crashes, some huge incidents, and a phantom red flag. So if you haven't checked out that episode, do be sure to go and watch that one because there will be spoilers up ahead. But starting out with this episode, before we head to Monza, the home of Ferrari, the Tifosi are going to be going crazy. We start off with some chassis research being complete. That's on for next season. So hopefully we can now start focusing on next season's car just a little bit. We obviously came into this season, the 2022 season, with a bit of a tugboat and a bouncy ball of a Mercedes. So we want to make sure that we're on the front foot next year, not starting on the back foot. Looking at things before the race, team wise, constructors wise, we are currently sitting in second place. We opened up a bit of a bigger gap on Red Bull with some positive points results for both of our drivers. And then drivers wise, Lewis Hamilton has gone down in the drivers standings. He is now behind Charles Leclerc, and Charles Leclerc obviously heading to his home race. Big for him to potentially come away with the full points. I'm a bit concerned because Monza very power hungry, and we do not have the fastest car at all, although some big news on the upgrades should be coming today. Let's take a look at some of the emails. As usual, the exceeding expectations, the debrief, all good there, and a new period starting on the wind tunnel time and also the aerodynamic time as well. Fantastic. Chassis research has been complete. We'll look at potential upgrades or potential research in a minute, but we start off this episode with a regulation change. As you know, we may change the regulation that define Formula One rules between seasons to make the sport fairer for competitors and engaging with fans. With these goals in mind, we're proposing new financial regulations for the 2023 season. We've noticed the potential for smaller teams to be priced out of the competition, so we proposed a lower cost cap to keep all teams on a level playing field. These changes are detailed below, so please respond after you've reviewed them. Right. Well, I'm obviously Mercedes, and I'm one of the biggest teams on the grid. Do I want to lower the cost cap in the interest of fairness for about 5 million? I want more competition, and it'll be interesting to see more winners. So I am going to vote for this. I'm happy to stay within the cost cap, and I'm not going to be greedy here. So yeah, I'm going to vote for that, and we can lower the cost cap by, what's that, 5 million? That's not too bad. That's like one HQ upgrade. And let's take a look as well. The chassis research has been completed. So that is being done and is being done well. Do we want to, with the new time period, do some more research on it? I think we might have to. We're going to do 1.1 on there, and then wind tunnel hours, we are going to go for 15, I think it is. The engine cooling is going to jump up massively. The drag reduction as well is going to jump up quite a bit. So yeah, I think this is probably for the best. We'll do that, and then it means if we save some engineers, if we go to research focus, what do we want to focus on more? The engine cooling is up quite a bit, and that's one of the worst things that we have at the minute. Airflow, drag reduction. So if we put drag reduction all the way up and airflow all the way up as well, then we should be fine, I think. So we head on to that, and then engineers, we've got 5 available. Let's use 3 of them, and that should take a month. And it will only cost $120,000. So yeah, let's continue with that. Some more chassis research to come, and now we've got 2 engineers left over, so, or 3 engineers left over, and we need to work on our engine cooling a bit. So let's take a look. Design, what works? It's only really the side pods and the underfloor. So what we might have to do research wise is the side pods are ongoing. Let's take a look back at current projects. The side pods is gonna go on for 12 more days. So I think what we are going to do is wait for those 12 days to finish, And then we're going to do a new sideboard design, because I don't think you can do design and research at the same time. No, you can't. So I'm going to research. I'm going to do the next upgrade after Monza will be side pods, because we need to improve on our engine cooling by quite a bit. That is where we lack at the minute. If we take a look at the car at the minute as it stands, we go to car analysis, we're going to change team, and we're going to compare it to the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. Right now, all we've kind of got in common with them is the DRS acceleration. That's about it. Everywhere else, we are considerably less, and they've taken a massive jump in terms of their upgrades in the dirty air cornering in particular, and the engine cooling. So we need to up our engine cooling and try and get a little bit more power, because on the straights we are not very good. Let's compare it to the Red Bull. The Red Bull much the same. Look at that engine cooling in comparison to ours, and the brake cooling as well. No wonder our tire temperatures keep going through the roof. Who's fourth? Alpine at the minute. Are they better than us? They're better than us in the high speed corners, as well as brake cooling and engine cooling. So we still got some work to do there. Let's compare it to the McLaren. The McLaren have us in engine cooling. Our engine is awful on the heat. Who else are we going competing with? AlphaTauri. AlphaTauri are very quick. Their top speed is much faster than ours, as well as the high speed cornering. And the DRS top speed is faster than ours as well. So we've still got some work to do. We will do that in a future episode. Let's push on towards Monza. Reach Q2, reach Q3, and qualifying position. Both drivers in the top 8. And then fastest lap we'll have to do, but we'll do finishing position of both drivers in the top 8. And then both finish position streak and qualifying streak can continue on. That's fantastic. And then we're going to go to cars, car build 1, and it's a front wing that should have been built by now. Yep. And that improves us in all areas apart from the engine cooling pretty much. So let's give Lewis Hamilton the new front wing, and let's give George Russell the new front wing as well. Change and give him the new version of the front wing. Fantastic. So we've got a new car part for Monza. Hopefully that gives us a little bit of speed. But now we're going to head on to Monza and hopefully show our pace with the new car parts. The final thing I wanted to do was check for development points. George Russell doesn't have one. Does Nick De Vries have one following his test session? No. So we can now head on to Monza.
Life in the fast lane. We're here at Monza in Italy, the home of Ferrari. But who will take home the points this weekend? Let's find out as we get started with the Italian Grand Prix. Monza, a centurion among circuits, dripping with motorsport history. Expect to see cars fly by, as 80% of the track is tackled at full throttle. It's not all go, however, and brakes can be prone to overheating through the tight chicanes that Monza has to offer. With the season nearly concluded, time is running out for the teams. Can anyone make a last-minute breakthrough? Can the leading drivers hold on? Only time will tell. So, without further ado, let's get started.
Good to see then at Monza there's going to be no weather incidents. Everything is looking cloudy across the board. No rain at all. And yeah, we have no sort of issues there on that perspective. I'm just hoping that we can show a little bit more pace now with the upgrades that we have brought. First things first, we're going to send out both drivers with the cars. George Russell's obviously got a lot less car part knowledge, so he's going to have to do some work there. And then we're going to go on to the car setup. Any highlights as usual, we'll bring them to you as part of the practice sessions. Right, so this first practice session has been pretty quiet. No incidents, no crashes, nothing like that. But it's not been the best of sessions for us. Lewis Hamilton has finished his run down in P10, and George Russell in P7. Pierre Gasly, Valtteri Bottas have closed the gap. That Alfa Romeo seems to have brought some really big upgrades here. And Pierre Gasly, we looked before the race at the AlphaTauri. They're very quick. And obviously, with Monza being full throttle for the vast majority of the lap, that's really given them a big advantage. Lewis Hamilton down in 10th behind the two Alpines. We've got some work to do setup wise. We haven't been doing very good either. I think we're around 70% with Lewis Hamilton, 60% with George Russell. And yeah, we've gone out on soft tires both times. And yeah, we haven't really improved much. So the good thing is We were only half a second off the leader, or 0.6 of a second, since Max Verstappen just puts in a brilliant lap. Charles Leclerc finishes his lap as well, just 0.7 of a second off Verstappen. But yeah, George Russell 0.6 of a second off the leader. Lewis Hamilton currently 0.7 of a second off the leader. Right, into practice 2 then, and George Russell has a 76% setup. We're not really making much gains in terms of the setup at all. The traction is bad. The straights are great. The oversteer is great. Optimal and cornering, so that's a positive, and the braking stability is good. So traction, we're obviously going to have to mess around with there. So we're going to take a big jump up and then a couple ticks down that way. Front wing angle, I think we're going to go that way maybe. Heading towards, yeah, that. And then the optimal side of things, we're going to do that, and then the toe out can go back just a couple inches. Lewis Hamilton's in the pits as well, 87%, so we're nearly there with him. Optimal on the cornering, great on the traction, the oversteer, and the braking stability, but the straights are still pretty poor by comparison, so that's only on a good. So we might do something like this maybe, and then anti-roll back down, and then the traction, no, not the anti-roll, back there is something like that. Oversteer is a little bit, because I would rather go that way with the oversteer, I think. Rear wing, something like that will do, and Lewis Hamilton on the softs as well. I'm finding this setup around Monza very, very tricky. Time-wise, George Russell's currently in P5, Lewis Hamilton's in P7. Valtteri Bottas has split the two Mercedes again, much like the start of the season. End of practice 2 then, and Charles Leclerc is leading the way once again, but George Russell and Lewis Hamilton down in P7 and P9. We've got to watch out for this AlphaTauri and this Alfa Romeo. These seem very, very quick. And in Lewis Hamilton's case, he also needs to watch out for the Alpine of Fernando Alonso. Lewis Hamilton has had a bit of an issue with the engine. It's currently down at just 40%, I think it is. So before qualifying, we probably are going to change the engine for Lewis Hamilton. We do have a spare one, but because of just how power hungry this Monza circuit is, I think it's making him lose a lot of time. Slight incident there for George Russell going wide, and we're pushing pretty hard on these hard tires. It seems to be okay. Pace wise, we're very slow, so that's fine, but yeah, we're just trying to get the track acclimatization up. George Russell's currently on 72%. Lewis Hamilton is on 64%. So we're just going to keep them out for the majority of this session. George Russell has gone wide again. Maybe there is an issue. It's the exact same spot. He's ran wide the same place twice in a row now. The tires are fine. Maybe it's just the setup that isn't, and he's just pushing very, very hard. Right, so towards the end then of practice 3, and it seems as though George Russell is going to be stuck on a 93%. We've got 2 optimals and 3 greats. Maybe we could do something like that and then put the toe out back down so that the optimal can stay on the traction. Yeah, so we've got a 93%, so we'll do something like that. It might just have to stick on the 93%. We're going to go on to the softs with George Russell and then send him out for the final 20 or so minutes. Lewis Hamilton currently waiting because he's on 91%. We're going to call him in now, and then give him a little run on the soft tires as well. Let's see his setup. 93% as well. 2 optimals and 3 great. So not the best setup, but definitely not the worst either. At the end of practice 3 then, and yeah, George Russell in P9, Lewis Hamilton in P11. A little bit concerning on the pace here of this car, or lack of it. Again, we have been outperformed by both Alpines, who are both in the garage, Valtteri Bottas and Pierre Gasly. Their upgrades have worked a treat. So if that's the case for our Monza with the speed, yeah, we're in trouble for the remainder of this season. George Russell crosses the line now. He is 9/10 of a second off Leclerc at the front. We're definitely not challenging for the race here, race win this weekend. Lewis Hamilton, is he improving on this lap? No, he isn't. Positive is that Lewis Hamilton and George Russell both have 100% on the track acclimatization. Setups for both of them are around about 93%, so we're nearly there. We just don't have speed in this car. And where I thought our upgrades would help around here, they don't seem to have helped at all, because the other teams have brought bigger packages and have better upgrades than us. So yeah, disappointing, absolutely disappointing weekend potentially incoming here. And I just need to think about moving forward. We've done a lot of consideration on the we've done a lot of consideration on next year's car. Maybe we have to bring focus back onto this year's. If we've got an opportunity at winning both the Constructors and the Drivers' Championship, we need to potentially look at speeding up some side pod upgrades maybe, because I think that will really help the engine cooling side of it, where we're the worst on the grid. I think we do need some big upgrades there. But let's head into qualifying, and maybe the car can spring a surprise. Right, before qualifying starts, we just need to remember with Lewis Hamilton to bring back the better conditioned engine, 69%. So you should have a little bit more power there, but the ERS is very worn out as well, and the gearbox is getting there too. So we're looking at some potential engine penalties with the car for Lewis Hamilton soon. George Russell, a 93%. So yeah, we're gonna stick with that. I think 93%. We'd rather have 3 optimals, a good and a great, as opposed to 2 optimals and 3 greats, I think, because the straights are where we're gonna have most of our overtaking. There's not really much braking around here. So yeah, we're gonna stick with that for George Russell. Looking at his car parts, engines at 58%. The ERS was obviously a new one, so he's at 92%, and gearbox was a new one as well. I still can't believe that needs to be fixed. Maybe I have to I wonder if there's a way to repair it. That's what I'll look into. But yeah, we'll send both the cars out for qualifying 1, and yeah, we may not be able to go out on used tires this time, because we might be at risk of being knocked out. Right then, George Russell and Lewis Hamilton both gonna have to go out again, but on used tires. Lewis Hamilton's down in P12, so that was not a good lap. George Russell is coming out now, and it should be fine. We've got 2 minutes and 15 seconds left. We should be okay. Valtteri Bottas has come out behind Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton's behind Alexander Albon, though, so maybe that Williams is going to get in the way. Lewis Hamilton, I think George Russell is fine. George Russell should be okay. He's currently out in P3 behind Carlos Sainz, but yeah, Lewis Hamilton is gonna have to put in a good lap here, but with that Williams in front, I am worried a little bit about traffic, because you can imagine that Sergio Perez is probably gonna go quicker than us. You can imagine that Charles Leclerc is gonna go quicker than us, so that's 2 gonna knock us down. And if the pace of Valtteri Bottas is anything to show, or the potential pace of Lando Norris as well, yeah, I think Lewis Hamilton, if he doesn't improve, he could be knocked out. Right, Lewis Hamilton is in trouble here. He's done a personal best in Sector 1, but Sector 2, he is much slower, and you can see that possibly that's an effect of the Williams out in front. Vettel, Latifi and Stroll have finished, so they are out in qualifying. Lewis Hamilton just improves up to P5. That was a good lap as George Russell crosses the line next. He's P6. Lewis Hamilton pulled that one out of the bag there. We was worried for a second, but both cars are through to qualifying 2. Right, so was Lewis Hamilton bluffing all along? George Russell's in trouble this time, but Lewis Hamilton's a 1/10 of a second off Max Verstappen. Were we saving the pace for this weekend's qualifying? I don't know, because I don't know where we've got that from. And Lewis Hamilton was out on some used tyres. He's going out on fresh new tyres now. But George Russell, he's the one in trouble now, down in P9 at the minute. And down the start finish straight, George Russell currently in P9 jumps up to P5, 2/10 of a second off Charles Leclerc. Lewis Hamilton's about to finish his lap, and he stays 2/10 of a second off Leclerc as well. And Max Verstappen just puts it on P1 for a laugh. Oh, that would hurt the Italian fans if Max Verstappen came to Italy and won, just like the race in real life. Obviously there was booing due to the safety car. It would be nice if we didn't have any track incidents like that for ourselves, but practice seems to have been a lot worse than qualifying right now. We seem to have found a little bit of pace. We're through to Q3. That was the bare minimum. Carlos Sainz has an engine penalty, so potentially if we finish P5 and 6 on the grid, we could be going up to P4 and 5. Let's head on to third practice, put on some used tyres to start, keep a fresh set of soft tyres for the race, just in case we need them. And we'll set the first time on some used tyres. Right, here we go then, ahead of our final timed laps of qualifying, and George Russell currently qualifying in P9. Lewis Hamilton up in P3. He's been faster than both of the Red Bulls on this session, but again, used tyres to start. I think Lewis Hamilton will be the last one out. No, he's not. He's ahead of a Ferrari, ahead of an Alpine. So we're in some decent air. George Russell has clean track ahead of him because Carlos Sainz might be giving him a decent slipstream out in front. Lewis Hamilton has Valtteri Bottas to contend with, but if the pace of the Alfa Romeo in practice is anything to go by, we should have a little bit of time to spare. Final 2 minutes then. Let's see where we end up on the grid. Here we go then for the final time around the Parabolica. Here goes George Russell as Sergio Perez has finished his time lap. He's currently provisional P2. Carlos Sainz can't better him. Carlos Sainz up to P3. George Russell has qualified in P6. Lewis Hamilton, can he do any better? He crossed the line. He's P5. So the two Mercedes are P5 and 6 once again. But it's the hometown favourite, Charles Leclerc, who has brought in a wonderful lap, probably the best lap of the season, to better Max Verstappen in P2. Good stuff there by the Ferrari driver, because his teammate Carlos Sainz is going to be taking an engine penalty. He's currently in P4. At bare minimum, he'll be P9, I guess, if he's got a 5th place. But if he's had to take a full if he has to take a full engine penalty, he could be down at the back of the grid. So Lewis Hamilton will start in P4. George Russell will start in P5. And I think, again, we're going to go very aggressive this race, because it will be the only way we can make up some places.
Welcome to race day. And before we get down to it, last-minute checks are being made.
We saw a reasonable push from Mercedes in qualifying, and they'll have plenty of opportunities here to achieve a great result. These past few days, Ferrari have been absolutely thrilling their fans. Now let's see if they can make the Tifosi proud by capitalizing on that grid position. We've been having sunny weather here today, but there are some clouds looming that might complicate things for teams further down the line.
Well, one thing we do know, this race is going to be fast, and Monza is ready for it.
Unfortunately, Crofty, although Monza might be ready for it, our Mercedes isn't ready for it, I don't think. So we're currently going to be starting in P4 and P5. Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. Strategy-wise, I think it's going to be a one-stop race, potentially. Let's take a look. The medium onto the soft, or we can start hard, end on soft. Soft onto medium, but the medium we'd have to watch towards the end, or we could just all-out attack the mediums onto the hards. I think we are going to go soft to hard. We could do, or we could start on the hard, go much longer and end on the soft. I think that's what we're going to do, actually. Let's edit that, change it to the hard tire, aggressive. What we're going to do with that, if we go aggressive all the time, yeah, let's do something like that. We're going to go on the hard tire until lap 36, and then soft until the end, I think. George Russell is going to do something similar as well. Hard tire, aggressive, soft, aggressive, but he is going to come in instead of on lap number, what lap did Lewis come into? Let's take a look. What lap was it with Lewis? It was lap 36. With George, it will either be 35 or 37, unless he gets ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Then he'll come in on lap 36.
I don't want to tempt fate, but there are quite a few clouds overhead as we look at the lineup on the grid. And here, we've got Lewis Hamilton. They're up in 3rd position, tantalizingly close to pole. And here we can see Russell. They might not be in the top 3 spots, but things could change fast once the race gets underway. The race start is mere seconds away. Here we are at the oldest circuit in Europe for this, the Italian Grand Prix. And it's lights out and away we go.
The first things first, we're going on to attack with both of our drivers' tyres. Let's see, where is everybody? So Perez is down in P5. He started on the softs. So he's going to look to get the jump on George Russell down the inside of turn 1. There's an Alfa Romeo there making it difficult. Sergio Perez, I think, has got the position from George Russell. No, he hasn't. Well done by George Russell. How did Sergio Perez qualify? What happened to Sergio Perez? I think he dropped down by grid penalties. I'm not sure. Carlos Sainz all the way down in P13. He must have had a 10-place grid drop, but out in front, Lewis Hamilton and George Russell gets away well. The both of them. Let's take a look at the tyre compounds. We're the only ones on hard tyres. So I don't know if that's a positive or a negative. Everyone else pretty much is on mediums, apart from Sergio Perez, who's gone super aggressive, and Valtteri Bottas. So we're going to need to maybe create a little bit of a gap here, because Sergio Perez is going to be fast on those softs, and so is Valtteri Bottas. They've both been showing good pace all weekend. But as things stand, Lewis Hamilton in P3 as it is at the minute. George Russell in P4. George Russell is coming under constant attack now from Sergio Perez as Lewis Hamilton sets the fastest lap of the race to be beaten by Sergio Perez. They're now coming down the straight with DRS. Sergio Perez, is he going to make a lunge into turn 1? They're side by side. What a brilliant angle that is. Brilliant driving there from George Russell to stay just ahead of Sergio Perez. Is out in front. Max Verstappen has taken the lead of Charles Leclerc, and Lewis Hamilton is now attacking the Ferrari man. We need to go on neutral with George Russell, but Lewis Hamilton is right there behind the championship leader Charles Leclerc. He's driving brilliantly. We need George Russell in the DRS of Lewis Hamilton though, if he's going to stay ahead of Sergio Perez.
Mercedes, here's the replay. Now watch this. Lewis Hamilton involved in this.
Oh, Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen side to side through the chicane turns 1 and 2, but Lewis Hamilton gets by Max Verstappen and is up into P2. Brilliant driving there from Lewis, and he's now right on the back of Charles Leclerc. George Russell is now right behind Max Verstappen as well. If George Russell clears Max Verstappen, it'll be interesting to see what Red Bull do, because obviously Max Verstappen is in a title charge, whereas Sergio Perez isn't. But Sergio Perez is on the soft tyre, and yeah, he would probably need to get by Max Verstappen if it's for his strategy. As Lewis Hamilton's challenging for the race lead, they're heading side by side. Oh wow, through the Ascari chicane. They're now this is just going to be a great race now for the end of this part of stint 1. I'm in surprise that this Mercedes again has got the race pace. Our strategy has just worked out very well. Let's take a look. George Russell is on attack with the tyres. Charles Leclerc is not going to have DRS. Lewis Hamilton has an opportunity here to take the race lead into turn 1. Let's see if he can do it. Can George Russell also take advantage of the tyre advantage on Max Verstappen as Lewis Hamilton leads the Italian Grand Prix? Charles Leclerc is fighting Max Verstappen for P2, and George Russell is going around the outside. No, he's been blocked off there by Max Verstappen.
Let's take a look at the replay. Okay, here's the Ferrari.
So I think that there's going to be a few DRS overtakes for the next couple of laps as Charles Leclerc retakes the lead from Lewis Hamilton into the chicane at turn 1 and 2. Let's take a look now as George Russell is going to be attacking Max Verstappen. Well, Max Verstappen is attacking Charles Leclerc, and Lewis Hamilton is attacking the race lead. Oh, what a move that is by Max Verstappen, trying to go down the inside of turn 1. Again, he's been squeezed out. Can George Russell take advantage of that? No, he can't, as Lewis Hamilton retakes the race lead from Charles Leclerc. I do think this is going to be a bit of a back and forth for the foreseeable. That DRS zone into turn 1 at Monza, very, very powerful. So Lewis Hamilton leads again, and George Russell is right behind Max Verstappen. I think we're going to hit some overtake mode on the next lap, and we'll see if George Russell can overtake him. We've turned on the overtake mode of George Russell. and he is attacking his teammate Lewis Hamilton as well as Max Verstappen as they go 3 wide into turn 1. Max Verstappen surely cut the corner there. Who's going to come out in front? George Russell just misses out. But my goodness, what on earth was that driving there from George Russell? So brave. Lewis Hamilton's now down to P3 behind Max Verstappen as we saw George Russell attack both Lewis and Max. Lewis is the odd one out there, but as long as we've got the DRS and we are within range of Charles Leclerc, we're not too bad. Tire wise, it's all looking okay. Sergio Perez is on 69%. This soft tire stint hasn't really worked out well for him. Valtteri Bottas currently holding up Pierre Gasly, who seems to be flying. Can Pierre Gasly get the move done on Valtteri Bottas heading into the Ascari chicane? I don't think so. Yeah, it's some interesting stuff out front as that overtake mode with George Russell really threw a spanner in the works. Some more DRS moves as down the start-finish straight, Lewis Hamilton has cleared Charles Leclerc for the race lead, and behind, George Russell has done the same and got past Max Verstappen under DRS. The Mercedes mechanics are celebrating both moves there.
So let's look at this. There's Sergio Perez.
Sergio Perez on the soft tyres has come alive. He's overtaken Max Verstappen and George Russell on the same lap, and he squeezed out George Russell. And now on those soft tyres, he is going to be chasing the leaders of this race and left George Russell in a little bit of trouble. There's DRS with Max Verstappen heading into turn 1. Can he get the job done on the Mercedes driver? I'm not sure, as he closes the door well. That's good defensive driving there from George Russell. Out in front, Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc have been trading the position of P1 every single lap for like the past 10, I think it is. We're trying to run away from this battle behind, but now that Sergio Perez is in clean air, it will be interesting to see whether he can close the gap on those soft tyres. Our hard tyres are doing us pretty well, as the celebrations there in the garage show. 77% on the hard tyres, 76% for George Russell on the hard tyres, and no one's come in for a pit stop yet. Right, lap 18, and Sergio Perez has come in to the pits just as George Russell was attacking him. Valtteri Bottas has come into the pits as well for the soft tyre, as Lewis Hamilton has retaken the race lead again under DRS. These two have been pushing each other so fast this race, and Max Verstappen has just been held up behind the likes of George Russell and Sergio Perez. It's brilliant driving again from Lewis Hamilton. Can he stay out in front? I'm not entirely sure. The engineers have been up on their feet a lot here, as George Russell is now behind Max Verstappen. He made a move on that previous lap as well. I wonder if we'll see a replay of it exactly just as I asked. There it is, around the outside of turn 1. That's brilliantly late on the brakes by Max Verstappen. Fantastic stuff from him. Good move, a really good move by Max Verstappen. He's now up into P3, but George Russell should be able to stay in contact with him on these hard tyres, which are lasting quite a while. Sergio Perez, who started on the softs, has now gone on to the mediums. I don't think the mediums can last, what's that, 45 laps? 45 laps. The medium tyres going 45 laps. I don't know about that one. We don't need to worry about coming in now until, what is it, lap 33 onwards. That's our pit window, but I think we're doing okay. When you look at the tyres, we're above sort of the optimal tyre wear, so we're doing okay. We just need to think about now whether or not these guys in front last 45 laps on these medium tyres, because that might throw a little bit of a spanner in the works as George Russell pulls alongside Max Verstappen under DRS and is back up into P3. Brilliant move.
Let's have another look. Sainz is the focus here.
Carlos Sainz has gone very wide then on his recovery drive. How is he getting on his recovery drive? Let's see, because last time obviously we saw him, he was down in P14. He's currently behind Sergio Perez in P9. Sergio Perez, as George Russell sets the fastest lap of the race, good on him. Sergio Perez, this early pit stop doesn't seem to have helped him at all. And he's already on 82% for the tyre wear I think Red Bull have screwed him over again here. Sergio Perez is surely going to be unhappy in the cockpit of that car towards the end of this race. Valtteri Bottas, similarly, he came out in traffic, basically. Ricardo has come in to the pits and come onto the hard tyres. So has the likes of Zhou, Tsunoda, Magnussen, and Sebastian Vettel. So they'll be going to the end of this race. Not that it matters in terms of the race lead, but it matters to us. 28 laps these medium tyres have gone so far, and they're at about 49%. Right, big news then. Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen have both come into the pits for soft tyres, as has Pierre Gasly. Right, their soft tyres are going to have to go 22 laps. 22 laps, but we are staying out for another 3 laps because the soft tyres, Carlos Sainz came into the pits. Oh, nearly had a massive crash there as Esteban Ocon nearly ran into the back of Charles Leclerc. Max Verstappen is behind Esteban Ocon and Sergio Perez is right behind Max Verstappen. So yeah, that strategy hasn't worked because I'm pretty sure Sergio Perez was clear of Max Verstappen. Yeah, he was, because he was ahead of me. As George Russell, he was ahead of us. So that strategy has not worked for Sergio Perez at all. Right, they're on used softs. 92% for Max Verstappen, 91% for Charles Leclerc. Our tyres are overheating, so we're going to go down to standard with both drivers, and we're just going to try and maintain it now a little bit. 5 or 6 laps we're going to give them. What is the gap here? Charles Leclerc is behind George Russell by 17 seconds. And he is behind Lewis Hamilton by about...
And that's the lockup!
Zhou Guanyu's locked up. I was very worried that it was one of the Mercedes. We need to start watching the time. Right, Charles Leclerc, 17.6 seconds behind George Russell. And behind Lewis Hamilton, 22.6 seconds. So, if we can keep that level of a gap for the next sort of 5 to 6 laps, we should be okay coming in for the softs. We don't want to come out behind Esteban Ocon, so we're going to probably wait until Ocon does his pit stop first. Right, so on lap 38, Lewis Hamilton leads from George Russell, and neither of us have done our pit stop yet. And Charles Leclerc has cut the lead to 18.2 seconds. He's cut it by 3 seconds, but it's been about 5 or 6 laps, I think. So he's not doing it at the rate that you'd probably would have thought. George Russell is going to box this lap for some fresh soft tires, which should last comfortably until the end of this race. Looking at the tire wear for Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen, they're in the 70s, so we should be rapid in comparison to them. Lewis Hamilton, let's go with George Russell. We're going on push and we're going on deploy as well, just to try and get as quick an in lap as possible. Lewis Hamilton's coming up to a bit of traffic as he passes the Williams. Can he get past the Haas as well? Let's go back onto balanced and stay on standard for when George Russell comes out of the pits. Let's take a look of this, and Lewis Hamilton's going to come in next lap, so he's going to push now. George Russell, smooth pit stop, let's hope. 2.5 seconds, good for him, as Charles Leclerc comes by him on the start finish straight, and he's back up into P2. Sergio Perez on those medium tyres has been doing very well. He's doing a very good job. Does he jump George Russell? As you can see, George Russell coming out of the pits now. He has to slow down. Sergio Perez has to slow down. There was surely enough space to get the move done around the outside, but there is George Russell up into P3, and Max Verstappen is the odd one out. He is now down to P5 after those stops. We can go aggressive with George Russell now that he is out, and let's neutralize the ERS as well. Lewis Hamilton is absolutely attacking. Let's deploy with some ERS for the end part of this lap. This stint on the hard tire has really gone well for us. Really, really happy with it. Yeah, I think we're doing okay so far. This strategy should see Lewis Hamilton come out in front. Right, before the pit stop happens, let's go onto balanced and let's drop that down to standard as well. Oh, I forgot to call Lewis Hamilton in. What an idiot. I forgot to bring him in. That was the big thing. Let's put him in this lap. So stupid. So stupid. As Lewis Hamilton does set the fastest lap of the race. He was pushing it to the limit there. Let's go again. Attack. Push. We don't need to worry about the ERS this time. What's the gap to Charles Leclerc? 18.3 seconds. Smooth pit stop there for Lewis Hamilton. Not as fast as George Russell, but still fast enough. As Charles Leclerc is coming down the start-finish straight now. He is going to be ahead of Lewis Hamilton, who's just coming out of the pits now. So you can see Charles Leclerc in the distance. Lewis Hamilton in P2. George Russell is behind Sergio Perez still. And is he out of DRS range? I don't think he is. But Max Verstappen is attacking George Russell now. Right. Lewis Hamilton has got 12 laps to gain 6 seconds.
And we'll push.
Lewis Hamilton, it's hammer time. Brilliant move round the inside on the parabolica by George Russell, and those soft tyres giving him the grip that he needs to get past Sergio Perez, and he had the DRS as well, so he should now be clear as the engineers are happy with that one. We're currently sitting in P2 and P3 as Lewis Hamilton sets the fastest lap of the race. He's already taken a second out of Charles Leclerc's time. If he keeps on pushing like this, we could be in for an amazing final couple of laps here at Monza. I think we've probably left it a little bit too late here. The tyres haven't fallen off as much as we would like, although Leclerc has now hit that 30% mark. George Russell is ahead and clear. He's left the 2 Red Bulls as Max Verstappen is fighting with his teammate there with the DRS. Charles Leclerc has 30% tyre wear, and the soft tyres normally drop at 30%. So we're going to deploy some ERS with Lewis Hamilton. What is the gap? 1.4 seconds. And we are on fresher tyres. Let's push now. Mick Schumacher, get out of the way. I know you're part of the Ferrari family, but this is where we need to win this race. Can we get into DRS range with Lewis Hamilton? We're 1.1 second away. I don't know if we're going to have enough time. Is potentially 1 lap too late as we go on to overtake mode ahead of a potential move here. Lewis Hamilton is going to be looking to get a special victory over the Ferrari guy. On the other side of the garage, George Russell is coasting to a 3rd place finish, but we're coming up to the parabolica for the final time, and Charles Leclerc can see in his mirrors Lewis Hamilton for the championship lead. Who's going to take the victory? I just left it a little bit too late, and Charles Leclerc has won the race. Our strategy nearly paid off so well. Lewis Hamilton finishing 2nd step on the podium, and George Russell another podium for him. Consistency has won out. Sergio Perez has somehow made that soft to medium tyre strategy work. Max Verstappen behind in P5. Pierre Gasly is coming around the final corners now just to finish in P6. This is a brilliant drive for him. One of his best results of the season for the AlphaTauri driver. Good for him to see that he has improved at the second half of the season. Valtteri Bottas finishes in P7. Esteban Ocon just stays ahead of his teammate Fernando Alonso, and Carlos Sainz has dragged that Ferrari up to P10. The Tifosi won't be very happy with that, but it's a good result nonetheless. But Charles Leclerc, fair play. Fair play. Your strategy worked out for you. The tyres didn't fall off at the wrong time. Lewis Hamilton was closing. We had the edge towards the end, but we just ran out of laps.
This is a result truly worthy of a champion for Lewis Hamilton. This podium is a brilliant reward for everyone's hard work over the weekend. The highly decorated record breaker from Stevenage once again taking to the podium. It was a hard-fought contest for all 3 drivers, each one securing precious points for their team. This was a good weekend for Mercedes, with the results to match.
This was thrilling to watch. They've done an excellent job and they deserve all the plaudits.
At the end of the weekend, it's second place in the constructor standings for them.
Meet us next at the Marina Bay Circuit for a breathtaking race through the streets of Singapore.
What a really, really good race that was. Charles Leclerc deserved the race win there, to be fair to him. He managed to eke out those tyres on that second stint, and he done really well. And in front of the Tifosi, I can't be mad at a Ferrari driver winning, although I did want Lewis Hamilton to get the top step on the podium. He gets the fastest lap of the race, so I think it's his first one of the season. That's Verstappen finishing in P5. His title charge is going down the toilet at the minute. As drivers wise, Charles Leclerc extends his lead over Lewis Hamilton. He now leads by 12 points. Max Verstappen a further 21 points behind Lewis Hamilton. Carlos Sainz with his 1 point is now under tremendous pressure from George Russell, who has 8 podiums this season. Absolutely fantastic. Constructors wise, the Ferrari team are still in front, but Mercedes have again taken out 8 points from the gap there. We're heading to Singapore next, and I think that that sort of circuit is probably a little bit more up this Mercedes alley. I don't think we're very good at power circuits, although we did finish second and third here. Sponsorship wise, I reckon we've got everything there. As George Russell gets another development point, we will spend that in the next episode. Sponsors, we've brought in a good 5 million, and George Russell gets a bonus for finishing on the podium. But that's going to be the end of this episode. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you are new around here, hit the subscribe button down below, like the video if you are enjoying the content. I do appreciate, once again, all of the support, all of the likes, all of the comments down in the videos. I do see them all, and I try to reply to as many or all of you as possible. There's one in particular I do genuinely appreciate all of your support. He leaves a comment on every single video, so if anyone sees that comment down below, give him a thumbs up as well, because I really do appreciate it. But yeah, in the meantime, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you for the next episode. And we're heading to Singapore.